Hello, and welcome back to the Master Your Mindset podcast. I am coming to you again with another solo episode, and I'm really enjoying these solo episodes because I can really give the time and space for the things that have been on top of my mind that I think are very important conversations to have and just things to ponder on, like ideas and concepts to ponder on for yourself. So that is what I am coming at you with this week, another solo podcast episode. And if you can notice a little change in my voice, it's because I am coming out of the better end of being sick. So for the last couple of days, I've had the body aches and the shakes and the sweats and the brain fog and the migraines and all of the things. However, it wasn't COVID. Oh my God, am I actually even allowed to say that word? Is this podcast episode going to be taken down because I said the vid word? It wasn't hashtag the vid because we've been testing. So I just know it's not, but it's not that. It's just apparently a virus that is going around, but it got me good. And it's weird because I don't get sick. Like I hardly ever get sick, maybe once a year, maybe twice, but not really. I really don't get sick. But what I did was I did everything that I could to get my immune system back up there so that it didn't last for as long as I know it wanted to stick around. I wanted to just combat it straight away and get it gone. So I feel like I did that. It lasted for about 2 days fully, and now I'm just back here with like the shortness of breath and a little bit of a sore throat and just like a bit of like sinuses and things like that. So I don't have the body aches, I don't have the headaches, I don't have all of those things, which I'm so grateful for. And I'm very happy to be coming at you today and giving this time and space to talk about the topic of today, which is understanding victim mentality. Because we have a general understanding of what victim mentality is, but I feel that's as far as it goes. I feel like we know what it is, but we don't really do anything to come out the other side of victim mentality. Because let me tell you, victim mentality is so common, like so common that it's normalized, like so common that we bond with it, that we bond with others over it. So what I want to use this podcast episode for is to understand victim mentality, yeah, but go further than that. I want to give examples of what victim mentality can look like, of the things that we do, the behaviors, the conversations, the languaging that we use. And then I want to give ideas on how to combat victim mentality, how to actually get past victim mentality so that we are having more positive outlooks on life, more positive perspectives on the situations that we find ourselves in, and just things that are going to serve us better for the present, for our future, for our goals, and all of the things. So let's get into it. So first, we need to understand what victim mentality is. And so victim mentality is where you have this mentality where you perceive yourself to be the victim in each situation. And so somehow you can find proof in each situation where life is going against you, where things are going against you, where people are going against you. And you put yourself into the situation as a victim. And so some of the questions that someone with a victim mentality might ask themselves often is like, why is this happening to me? Why does this always happen to me? And why is life going against me? So these questions are signs that really show us that we are sort of slipping into a lack mindset, into a victim mentality. And so why do we fall into a victim mentality? How can we just sort of slip into this mentality? Well, a victim mentality comes from having a lack mindset. And if you have followed me, you will understand how we get ourselves into a lack mindset, but I'll talk about it a little bit here. A lack mindset is the opposite of having an abundant mindset, right? So a lack mindset is when you sort of have all of these outlooks on life that tend to fall in on the negative side. And so we're falling down the vibration scale. And if you know the scale of vibration or the scale of frequency, that looks like a ladder. And At the bottom of the ladder are feelings and emotions like guilt and shame and fear and anger and sadness and all of these lower vibration or negative emotions, right? And so when we're in a lack mindset, we're down here at that bottom of the ladder and we're sort of feeling like a victim. Like victim also gives off this vibration of like negative, right? Like, or it's not a frequency that we want to be in all of the time, right? So it's like when we are in a lack vibration, we are down at that bottom of the ladder. We're probably feeling all of these feelings often, even if they are blind spots to us, but we're probably feeling guilt. We're probably feeling shame. We're probably feeling less than ideal, let's just say, right? All the time. And so when we're in this lack mindset, we have that bias towards having the negative perspectives on every situation. And so I want to give you some examples of someone who might have a lack mindset. So here's the example. Let's just say you're at work and you're performing poorly, to put it straight, and you blame others for the reason that you are performing poorly. So whether it be your boss, whether it be your manager, whether it be your colleagues, and you fail to reflect on your own work ethic or your own performance at work. Example number 2 would be if you have financial problems and you are quick to blame the economy, you're quick to blame the government, you're quick to blame the prices of going up, all of these things, yet you fail to reflect on your spending habits or your financial decisions that you've been making. The next example would be someone with health challenges. So these people might blame, genetics, external factors, they might blame whatever it is, but they fail to see their lifestyle choices, their diet, their exercise habits, and these things that are going to help their overall well-being. And the next example would be someone struggling academically. So they might blame their teachers, the external factors, external distractions, yet they don't see their own personal effort or their own studying habits. And the last one that I have here is someone who blames their upbringing or their past traumas for a reason why that they limit themselves at whatever level they're at with their own personal growth, their own personal development, yet they don't do any self-reflection or look at their own accountability. Now, I'm not saying that any of these reasons that we are now blaming are wrong. I'm not saying that at all. And we'll get into this when we look at how we can combat this. But I'm just saying that most of the things that we are blaming are external to us, right? So whatever is external to us, we cannot control. We can only control what we do ourselves, the decisions we make, all of the things. Okay, moving on to the next part. Someone who has a victim mentality usually has negative attitude towards most situations. So what this could look like is, let's just say you're having a conversation with someone and they say, "Oh my gosh, look at this weather. Like it's so sunny today. It's so beautiful." And you might say, "Oh, yeah, like it's true, but also, did you see the weather last week? The weather was so shitty all last week, so I doubt that this sunny weather is going to stay. It's going to turn shitty again. It just happens all the time." Or maybe you're having a different conversation with someone and they say, "My son got his master's degree last month and I'm so proud." And you're like, "Oh, that's cool. I also just don't think that like going to uni or getting a degree these days does anything. I feel like it's just such a waste of time and money." Or maybe you're someone who wakes up every day saying, "I hate my job. I wish I didn't have to go to work," knowing that you have to be at work every single day for at least whatever it is, 8 hours, 9 hours, and you still choose to have this mindset towards something that you have to do every single day. So these types of people can always see the negative in most situations. They are always going to bring something negative into it. And look, with everything that I've talked about so far, there are reasons. Like I can see straight past this. There are so many reasons as to why someone could have a victim mentality, and there are ways that we can combat it. And then something else that would put you under the umbrella of having a victim mentality for sure is hanging out with people who love to complain, who love to gossip, who love to blame other people, and as we all know, we are the product of the 5 closest people we hang out with. So if you're hanging out with these people often, you 100% are going to fall into these tendencies. You're going to love bonding over complaints and gossip and blaming other people for everything, not even other people, but like blaming other things, the economy, like we've talked about, the government, like we've talked about, just blaming everything and everyone. So naturally, this is going to mold you into that type of conversation so you can have something to bond over. And this is going to bring you into a lack mindset for sure, which is where the victim mentality will come in. Another one that I wanted to speak about here is that when you think someone has done you wrong and you want them to recognize it. Now, I feel like this is where arguments come in. And what I see with arguments is definitely a communication problem. If you feel someone has done you wrong, what we tend to do straight away is try to show them, or maybe use silent treatment, or maybe start the argument of like, what you've done wrong to me. Can you not just see this? But with arguing and with silent treatment and with playing these games, it's like silent expectations. Someone is not going to see that they have hurt your feelings or they have done wrong in your own opinion to them unless you communicate effectively to them. And arguing is just not it. Like, arguing is not going to get you anywhere. Raising your voice is not going to get you anywhere other than to have a full-blown argument that could lead to bigger problems within, your own relationships, whether it be friendships, your family, your romantic relationships, your siblings, anyone, like your co-workers, your boss. Arguing is not the answer. And I feel like when we feel like someone has done something wrong to us, we tend to fall into that. We tend to do anything we can to show them without directly telling them in a way that is effective. And the last one that I wanted to speak about here is when we are looking at other people's lives and we always feel like other people are doing better than us. We always feel like their lives are going so much better than our lives are. And this is definitely a tendency or a trait of someone who has a victim mentality. Now, I see this happening a lot, especially with social media, especially with Instagram, especially with TikTok. But something that I want to remind you is that most people on Instagram, most people on social media, TikTok, whatever it is, are putting on their highlight reels. Most people, unless you're someone like a coach who is going to give you the raw, the real, the honest, are going to put on their highlight reels, whether they go away on a traveling trip or to another country or to, traveling within their own country, or, they're graduating or whatever it is. Most people are going to put on their highlight reels. And especially if you're going through a challenge or something that's going on in your own life, you see this and you feel really bad about your own life. It's that unhealthy comparison. So where you feel bad about your life because other people are doing so well, but you fail to see that this is a highlight reel of their own life. Everyone has their own things. Everyone has their own shit. Everyone has their own highs, their own lows, their own everything. But we need to stop and recognize that before we start putting ourselves into a victim mentality and saying that our life is shit, our life isn't going well, everyone else is doing so much better than me. Because trust me, it happens all the time. I see it all the time. I used to participate in it, not anymore. Okay, I'm going to stop there. There are definitely a lot of ways that you can be in a victim mentality, but there are so many ways. You can definitely look this up, study it if you want. But if you resonated with any of those, it is totally okay. We can combat it. Having a victim mentality is not something that will stay with you forever if you choose to do better. Now, if you know me, you know that everything is a choice. I say this all the time. Everything in life is a choice. You choose to feel bad. You choose to be in victim. You choose to feel abundant. You choose. Everything is a choice. The way that you feel, the things that you do, you choose to blame other people. You choose to do better and not blame other people. You choose to work on your personal growth. Everything is a choice, like literally everything. So it is okay. Here are some ways that you can combat your victim mentality if you are feeling that you are falling into a victim mentality at the moment. Number 1, And number two, actually, these fall hand in hand, but take responsibility. And when I say take responsibility, the number two that I wanted to bring into this one is that know what is in your control and know what is not in your control. So when you take responsibility, you're taking responsibility back that is giving you your control back. So, by taking responsibility, you are not blaming other people. You're not outsourcing that blame. You are not, you're not palming it off to everyone else and like giving everyone else your power. And what I mean by this is that, like I say, it is a choice. When we are blaming other people for the way that we are feeling, when we are, blaming everyone else for our performance being really bad at work or the reasons that we're arguing with other people or whatever it might be, it's like, okay, what is in your control? What is out of your control? What is in your control is that you can start taking responsibility by seeing what is your stuff, by taking ownership of what is your stuff. So it's not like, this person made me feel this way and that person made me feel this way. It's what am I feeling internally that these people are mirroring what I am feeling. So I am feeling triggered and activated by them, but I can't see that. So I've decided to blame them because whatever someone else brings up to you or shows to you or mirrors to you that triggers you or activates you is actually a reflection of what you're feeling inside. So this is where we start to take things personally. And if I can give you an example, a very good example is like a comedian, right? So let's just be honest. Comedians have sometimes very, very hectic jokes and things that they bring through. But why is it that we get activated by one joke more than the other? And the next person might get activated by that joke more than the other, whether it be whatever it might be. I don't want to get too far into like what comedians joke about. But sometimes we take things more personally because it might be through experience. It might be through whatever it might be through. We will take a joke from a comedian way more personally than other jokes, but they're all the same level of like hectic. They're all incredibly intense jokes. However, we just take some more personally than the others. And this is exactly the same as like what is happening in our day-to-day life. So what we are feeling inside, whether it be through experience or whatever that might be from, when other people present themselves, whether they're having a conversation with us and we take that personally, or whether whatever is happening, whether someone does something and we don't like that, we're activated by it, it's not because of them. They are living their own life. It's actually because of what we're feeling inside, and it's bringing up those emotions from inside. So we can start to take responsibility and bring back our power by owning it, by seeing that they have brought up something from inside us. It's not them. They are not the reason that we are feeling this way. They have actually helped us to see and to become aware of how we're feeling, because we have suppressed so much of how we are feeling, of what we are doing, any of these situations, that they've actually helped us by bringing it up, right? But we tend to blame others for this, but it's not actually them. So we can start taking responsibility for our own actions, for our own behavior, for our own feelings, and stop outsourcing the blame onto other people, other situations, other things. And let's not talk about a person. Let's talk about, whether we have like financial issues or whatever is going on in our financial situations. We often tend to outsource the blame on the economy, on the government. And look, I totally get it. Things are, raising, prices are raising, all of the things, but that doesn't mean that our lives need to stop. That doesn't mean that it needs to be a problem for us. That means we just need to take more responsibility and more accountability for ourselves and how we can better ourselves and our financial situations. We don't need to give our power away to the economy, to the government by blaming them. We need to rise to the challenge and do better for ourselves so we don't have to blame anyone else, so that we can actually feel proud within ourselves. Because for as long as we blame the economy or the government or whatever that you blame for our financial situation, we are actually just giving our power away. For as long as we blame them, it is an excuse. It is the excuse that we are looking for, so we don't have to make more effort and do more things and like have more drive, have more power, have more willingness to actually do better in our life. Because realistically or honestly, we want to be lazy. We don't want to do anything extra. We want to sit here and just, be more lazy. And that's fine. But we think that by blaming them, it's going to help us. But it's actually the reason why, or the excuse, it's actually helping us because we want that excuse so that we don't have to do better, so that we don't have to make more effort, so that we don't have to have more drive and motivation to better ourselves in our financial situation. And like this goes without saying, this we can apply this to any area of our life, whether it be our health, whether it be our relationships. And we just like to blame other people and other things, external factors, for why we are where we are in life, when we can actually just take back that responsibility and do better ourselves, stay in our own lane and stop blaming other people, because it's actually a choice that you are making. Okay, so the next way we can combat this, and if you have ever been my client, you will know that I say this all the time, and this works a treat when you implement it. So you need to practice, 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 and catch yourself out. So the more you practice, the more that you are going to catch yourself out, whether it's like you falling into victim mentality, or you using negative language, or you seeing yourself in, or whether it's you seeing yourself give a negative perspective on a specific situation. It's like zooming out, practicing zooming out and catching yourself out, falling into a victim mentality, falling into lack mindset tendencies, and actually giving negative outlooks on life, negative perspectives. So it's you catching yourself out and saying, hey, I can see that. It's like a little game. I can see that. And I'm choosing to not fall into a victim mentality right now. Okay, what sort of perspective would someone with someone with an abundant mindset have on this? Okay, that's the type of perspective. I'm going to have that perspective and I'm going to put this in the situation. And that is how, the more that you practice that, the more that you believe that, the more that you do it and implement it, the more that you will actually find yourself coming into an abundant mindset and seeing that life isn't that bad after all. And so something that comes hand in hand with this that I wanted to put on the back end of this is holding yourself to a higher standard. When you practice, when you catch yourself up, you are holding yourself to a higher standard. You are not settling for a lower standard that comes with the whole lack mindset, victim mentality. You are actually bringing yourself up there and holding yourself to a higher standard. And you know what happens to people that hold themselves to a higher standard? They actually find themselves with positive experiences happening for them. They actually see that. They actually find themselves feeling grateful for the situations that they are in. And they will start to see that they used to put any sort of negative outlook on that situation, but they can actually now see the positive outlook from that situation. They're actually zooming out and looking at the situation that they used to put a negative outlook on, but they're actually seeing this as a positive perspective. The next one that I want to talk about is coming back to gratitude. This is a no-brainer. Now, if you don't have a gratitude practice and you struggle with feeling gratitude, you need a gratitude practice. Now, here's the thing with gratitude practices is that I don't always recommend it to people. I think when you have a gratitude practice, the more that you stay consistent with that, the more natural it's going to come to you. Therefore, in your day-to-day life, you will see everything with gratitude. So you don't necessarily need to keep that gratitude practice. And what I'm saying is like it takes X amount of days to build a gratitude practice, right? So you need to actually stay consistent with that gratitude practice for so long before you actually start to notice the changes, before you actually start to feel positive and see the gratitudes coming naturally. So if you are struggling with this and you're not doing that well with it, you need to implement a gratitude practice now, and you need to stick at it for a long time. When I started my gratitude practice back in the day, I stuck at this for about a year or even more before I saw it coming naturally to me, but before I sort of stopped doing it intentionally, because I definitely was noticing that I was living my entire life in gratitude. So when sticking to a gratitude practice is going to help you move up that ladder that I speak about into an abundant mindset. And with consistency, you are going to actually feel the changes in your mood. You are going to feel that you're going to see the positive outlooks that you're having on life. And it's actually just going to be the game changer. Look, I'm not going to speak about gratitude practices for too long, because if you listen to this podcast episode, if you listen to this podcast, I'm sure that you understand the benefits of having a gratitude practice. And I'm pretty sure I've already done an episode on this, but I will probably do a full episode on the benefits of a gratitude practice. But implementing a gratitude practice is actually going to be the game changer that you need to get out of a lack mindset, out of victim mentality, and into an abundance mindset. And the last one that I wanted to talk about, and seriously, this might be my favorite one. It's the one that I speak about the most. It's celebrating your successes, celebrating your wins, celebrating the lessons that you've learned, even the struggles that have brought lessons to you, celebrating all of your small wins. And I even do a challenge to my clients of like finding the smallest of smallest wins and celebrating that, because so many people go through their day-to-day life without celebrating and celebrating and celebrating. But let me tell you, you could celebrate about 50 times in your day if you just took a step back and saw your wins for actual wins. So many people think that wins have to be big things like graduating or like having, their biggest goals. No, it doesn't yes, for sure, but not necessarily. Like celebrating the smallest things in your life. Like perhaps you have done your morning drive to work and not once you thought about not wanting to go to work, not wanting to be there. That is a huge win. Like not once did you think about that. Or another small win could be something like having your morning coffee and your breakfast and actually being mindful, not having the TV on, not having your computer on, not having any distractions, and just being mindful. Could be a small win. There are so many small wins, whether it be like a lesson that you've learned or something that you've been practicing. For example, practicing not slipping into a victim mentality, right? And let's say that you caught yourself out 10 times that day. That is a win. It's not that you let yourself fall into that victim mentality. It's that you caught yourself actually falling into that and choosing to do differently, choosing not to fall into that victim mentality and have a different perspective on this. But that is already 10 wins in itself. So people tend to slip past their wins and actually just live in an autopilot life where they don't see their wins as wins. And when you actually see your win for a win and you celebrate that, whatever it is, whether it's just like feeling it, whether it's like having a little boogie or a dance or like singing or like whatever it is, in terms of like how you want to celebrate, when you celebrate your wins, you actually bring in more self-belief and it brings up your confidence and it brings in more happy endorphins and hormones into your body, and you actually just feel really good. It will bring your mood up so much and bring you into an abundant mindset. It's the smallest little things. Like you don't have to do too much. You don't have to invest all this money. You don't have to do any of these big things. It's literally a matter of choosing to zoom out and see the perspectives, choosing to like celebrate your little wins. You don't have to do much. It doesn't take so much of your time away. It's like actually implementing the things that are going to be the small game changers, but the actual game changers that are going to change your life, the small shifts, the small mindset shifts that are going to change your life. So there is a full understanding of what victim mentality is, some examples of someone who might be falling into tendencies of a victim mentality, and exactly how you can combat it. I hope you gain something from this podcast episode. If you have, please come over to my DMs and let me know what you thought about it. If you're in my podcast community, come into there and in the comment section of this podcast episode, give your biggest takeaways, what you thought of this episode, perhaps what you resonated with, perhaps what you used to resonate with, perhaps how you've been combating your own victim mentality. I would love to hear it all. Otherwise, if I don't hear from you, I still hope you gain something from this episode, and I will see you all in the next episode.